So here we are. We are live and heading out in a number of platforms. Excited about talking about the meeting that we've got going on tonight. So if you're listening, great. And, when we kind of expanded on what we were doing within the real estate investment network, I looked at different opportunities, and there's a number of things I want to talk about, not the least of which is tonight's meeting, the coaching and member mentorship meeting for tonight for the East community. And certainly if you're in the West, I invited you last night. So we had a Western meeting last night, Alberta, BC, primarily Saskatchewan. But ultimately, we had a guest speaker. We had a number of speakers. I'll just talk about Andy Schectman. And, he is I guess, precious metal, guys, but it so doesn't describe who Andy really is in terms of understanding global macro, understanding what's going on economically when we see what's happening. And it was really fascinating last night. He did an absolutely brilliant job of describing what's going on with everything from the petrodollar and OPEC and Russia, what's happening, Russia, Ukraine, Middle East. It was really fascinating to listen to him describe global macro. Now, of course, we are in Canada, but we can't live in this bubble thinking that we're not at the effect of it. And as real estate investors, as much as we want to grow our wealth, our security, our certainty, financial freedom, and real estate is a vehicle to do that, we also have to consider wealth preservation. And part of wealth preservation is understanding what is the global macro and what are some of the inherent risks and how do we mitigate. And here's some things that we should consider so that we can make really wise decisions that, in fact, is going to risk mitigate. Again, wealth preservation is a really big aspect of how we create that financial future. Andy was just brilliant last night. Now, what happened was he really got on a roll. And so we ended up going, okay, well, last night was really part one. So anybody who attended last night, we invited, let's do part two on the Eastern meeting tonight. We recorded last night's meeting. So for the REIN community, REIN members, that meeting of last night will be downloaded, of course, or uploaded into your network, into that portal. You'll be able to view it and understand what I'm talking about here. And where we left off was, where's inflation going? What's the possibilities of hyperinflation? How do we risk mitigate? And so tonight into what we'll call part two, and I know it'll be epic because Andy is just brilliant. And we're going to go and continue the conversation. So for those of you who attended the West meeting last night, you're going to come to the East. I know many of you are going to get there. It starts 7 p.m. Eastern time, of course, 5 p.m. Mountain time, and 4 p.m. Pacific time. Now, there's a couple other things that we talked about last night. Barry Maguire, 50 years as a real estate lawyer. We were talking about the legalities of promissory notes, some of the things that are happening that we're seeing time and again show up in real estate investors that are not necessarily knowing what they're getting into or or understanding what they're doing. And these are mistakes that can be very costly. So promissory notes is a topic, and he's going to give us the legal aspects of those promissory notes. So excited to have Barry join us once again. As well, we got into the understanding of the changes that CMHC made. Keith Uti, a mortgage broker expert, is going to be giving us an update on the changes that CMHC made and what that means to us if we're into that multifamily space, so 5 units or more, some real meaningful changes that CMHC made that we're going to want to know about. As well, I'm doing an economic update of what's going on in the world. We're going to look at GDP and population growth. We're going to consider unemployment. We're looking at some of the changes and where we see things going into the future in certain markets. Last night was a lot of focus on Alberta, and we're going to give some updates with Alberta tonight because the Ontario community, many of the Ontario community are heading into Alberta in terms of investing their capital. We see the headlines and we don't want to buy into those headlines. We want to look behind the curtain. Let's make data-driven decisions, not emotional decisions. Okay, so that's about the meeting tonight. But what else is going on? Recently, you've been hearing about the initiative we launched with the self-funding house. The self-funding house really is the concept of understanding that first-time home buyers feel really stuck. They feel handicapped. How could I ever get into the housing market, given the cost of getting in, given the challenges of qualifying for mortgages, given the challenges of finding the right property? And the self-funding house really is an initiative to support younger, generally younger, but let's put it this way, first-time home buyers, and how can we get into a property? So within the self-funding house concept, you're going to hear a lot more about that. For REIN members who are a little more sophisticated in their investing, it's something that you're probably very familiar with in terms of the strategy, but how do we support those first-time home buyers in getting deals done? You're going to be hearing a lot more about that. Rod Schulhauser, Derek Lobo are part of the self-funding house. They are actually the drivers of that self-funding house business. But what it's going to do is open up the opportunity for members of this REIN community in terms of investment and investment strategy. So stay tuned for that. If you're not a REIN member and you are part of the REIN community overall, be sure to watch for those links. You get an absolute free download of the book, The Self-Funding House. It is free, no strings attached. You get that book, it'll start to open up your eyes to what the possibilities are. Here's a fundamental. The real estate market has changed. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's changed forever. For those of you who are waiting for prices to crash, you're going to sit on the sidelines and wait for that bubble to burst. You're going to be waiting a long time. So start to get educated. Understand that the real estate world is changed forever. And for many to get in the market, you're going to have to take a different approach. It isn't like it was many years ago. It wasn't like your parents or perhaps me as a boomer, where a property was 2 or 3 times income. Now it's 10 times, 12 times income. And how the heck do you get into a property? The self-funding house opens up a door for you to learn how to do that. It's very doable. It's done all of the time. But if you're not a real estate investor, you may not have that education. That's what the self-funding house is all about. As well, REIN community. I will be speaking at the Expand event with Alfonso Quadra at the end of this month, the 28th, 29th, and 30th of June. REIN community. Alfonso has put an amazing deal together, 60% off the ticket price the whole weekend, including, by the way, plated lunch on both Saturday and Sunday. It's like $487. And if you want to go to a gala, a dress-up affair, great spread of food, great people, is $587 for that weekend, for that event. It's an opportunity to listen to a number of spectacular speakers. I hope I kind of live into that category, but experts in the real estate investing industry, number one. Put yourself in an environment of like-minded individuals who are understanding and want to learn more and to meet other like-minded individuals. There is that meme that says, your net worth is a reflection of your network, and the Expand conference in Toronto, June 28th, 29th, and 30th is your opportunity to hear from a number of speakers, breakout sessions in a great environment, and as well have some fun with the gala on the Saturday evening if you want to attend that. We are going to be there. I'm going to be on the stage. I'm going to be at the breakout. Alfonso's going to be there. I think he's got as many as 50 speakers lined up with great breakout rooms, great breakout opportunities, multifamily, rent to own, fix and flip, covering a lot of topics for you to educate and understand. Now, one of the things that showed up with me or for me is a couple of people go, Patrick, we were at a recent event. It was just a big pitch fest. Every speaker that came on the stage was just selling something. This isn't that. This is hardcore learning, education, getting questions answered. How do we grow that portfolio? However you see the economy, I hope you see one fundamental thing, and that is that owning hard assets is more important than it has ever been. And we're going to be talking about that tonight at the meeting. And then finally, if you're still listening, and hopefully you are, you've been watching, for those of you who are not REIN members, if you would like to go to the meeting tonight tonight. So that is June the 13th. We kick off 7 p.m. Eastern time. If you reach out to info@REIN Canada, that's info@REINCanada.com, info@REINCanada.com. Say that you heard this. There's an invitation for you to attend free as a guest to come listen to Andy Schectman, to Legal Eagle expert Barry Maguire, Keith Uti, and myself giving an economic update. Oh, and by the way, JG Francoeur is going to be there giving us a rental market update with real time. What's going on in the rental market? Where are rents at by region, by city? Using amazing technology, DI Vault, that's a whole different conversation. So we got an absolutely amazing meeting lined up tonight. Hope to see you there. And DM me if you've got any questions. But we're going to have a great meeting tonight. Looking forward to see you. 4 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Mountain time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Don't want to miss it. Hope to see you there.